Hello, everybody. I'm Rick Semmler, and welcome to another edition of Beyond the Stands. This is an exciting one for me. Guess what? We started Beyond the Stands in September, and today is our 50th episode of Beyond the Stands. I take a lot of pride in bringing this to the Wabash Valley and all over the country and the world for that matter, and enjoying having a lot of guests on here. And today's guest has been very popular in the Wabash Valley over the last week or so. I'm talking about boys basketball coach Josh Thompson. He was at Barr-Reeve. He just recently, this week, became the new Loogootee boys basketball head coach. Coach, first of all, thank you for joining me. And how does that sound? Josh Thompson, Loogootee boys basketball head coach.
Well, Rick, one of the things I've learned over the years is that you never say never. It to me has a good ring to it. I'm excited about it. I know my family's excited about it. And we're really looking forward to the next challenge.
Now, we shared some text messages over the last week or so. This kind of caught fire a little bit. When coaches move, it makes a big noise, that kind of stuff. When you're at Barr-Reeve and you have Loogootee and you first start contemplating this, how much did you know, this was going to go big for a while?
Well, there was no way that, you were going to keep it on the DL in any way, shape, or form. So when we started, looking at the different aspects of going or staying, Jamie and I, my wife, and our kids, that was something that we had to weigh in. Obviously, it was going to be a big deal, but we ultimately knew that we had to do what was best for our family.
So walk me through this. I mean, you're 7 years at Barr-Reeve. You're rolling. You got a state title, just tremendous success, tremendous program. I get people pick on me all the time because I always pub Barr-Reeve because two things. They do it right and you win. So people can give me a hard time, but you guys have been the standard in the Wabash Valley for a long time. So you're rolling at Barr-Reeve. I guess walk me through, did Loogootee contact you? Did you look at what transpired to get you to Loogootee?
Well, the first thing I'm going to say is I've been incredibly impressed by Loogotee's approach, but also incredibly impressed by the way that everyone has handled things here at Barr-Reeve. This has been about a 2.5-week process. They reached out to us to gauge our interest. And initially I told them, I said, no. I said, we've got too good of a thing going on here at Barr-Reeve. We love being here at Barr-Reeve. I love being the head coach, and I'm not really interested in the beginning. But then they started to explain some things that professionally could be really good for me. And then, from a basketball standpoint, I really feel like we're walking into a good situation over there. They're coming off of a season where they won 13 games. They've got the majority of their guys back. And I'm really excited about the nucleus that we have back. Obviously, A.J. Foster, who's a top 100 kid that's coming back. Will Lyon was an all-conference player last year. And then we've also got two other starters back from that team. And so we're really excited about those kids. But going back to me personally, I wasn't really looking to make a move. And then when some professional things got thrown out there with the opportunity to move into the AD's position, and then some things that could potentially be there down the road for us, we just ultimately felt like this was the right time for us to go, even though we weren't looking to go to begin with.
And you and I had talked about things. I told you example I had in 2009 when I went from WTWO to WTHI. I had some friends that I thought were friends that, got upset with me, and I had to do what was best, mainly for my family, first of all, and for myself and my career. I know you wrestled with this decision big time. Just how hard was it? I mean, sleepless nights, just going back and forth between Barr-Reeve and Loogootee, just how tough was the decision for you?
Well, personally, it was really tough. It was tough for my family as we talked through everything. Rick, you're very strong in your faith like I am. And I told you, I said, I've always been interested with the story from the Old Testament of Jacob wrestling God. And I've just been mesmerized by how could you actually wrestle the God of the universe? Well, I figured that out over the last 2.5 weeks. But the big thing for me, going back to talking about how supportive everyone was here at Barr-Reeve, of me going through and taking a look at these opportunities for us. And on the flip side, Loogootee was very, very good. I thought they handled it very professionally. And, both sides obviously wanted us to come. Barr-Reeve wanted us to stay. But everybody in the administration on both sides were very cooperative in working through that with us, because Barr-Reeve was like, hey, we want you to stay, but if you go, we understand. We completely understand that. And on the flip side of that, Loogootee was like, hey, we want you to come, but if at any point in time you call us and tell us that you've made your decision to stay, then we understand that and there's no hard feelings. And really, I think a lot of people probably on the periphery of this would not really think that would be the case, but it was absolutely the truth.
I want to thank our sponsors of the show, Crow Equipment Incorporated and Andrews Heating and Air Conditioning, your 2018 American Standard Heating and Air Conditioning, Building a Higher Standard Award winner for quality and reliability you can depend on. Call Andrews Heating and Air Conditioning, 765-832-9401. Okay, so obviously you're going to Loogootee. You got a new deal, some new things you weren't doing at Barr-Reeve, obviously financially, some stuff involved. What can you share your new role will be besides just boys basketball coach at Loogootee and everything going on at Loogootee in your new role?
Well, Loogootee, I'll be the athletic director. And, that was one of the biggest things for us, from a professional standpoint, was for me to move into that role. And, I've been in school administration before. At Springs Valley, I was the assistant principal for 5 years when I was at Vincennes Lincoln, and we really got to know each other there. I was the assistant principal there for 2 years. And so the opportunity to move back into a role like that really appealed to us. And then obviously there are some big, components with that as far as, a pay raise. And then obviously, taking care of your family from an insurance standpoint as well. And then the other part of this, Rick, is my wife's going to have a job there. And so, she and I will be working in the same corporation again for the first time in, I think, 20 plus years. And my son, Griffin, who's going to be moving over there to Loogootee, he's kind of excited about having mom in class. She's going to be his PE teacher. So there were just a lot of really good things for us professionally. But then, like I said, Rick, my wife's going to get a job there, but that's something I'm sure you'll talk about here in a little bit. But my wife being from there was a big key in this. I've had a lot of people reach out and ask me, they're like, well, of the other jobs in the state of Indiana, why was that specific job the one that interests you? And I think a lot of the fact, or a lot had to do with the fact that my wife is from there. It's 7 miles down the road. We don't have to physically move. And it was just an easy decision to make once we finally came to the conclusion last weekend.
I know a lot of people don't understand that. I was going to mention that you did. Yes, your wife is from Loogootee. So, I mean, it's like going home for her and you guys. I know another big impact on it, and we're not going to get into the details of it because it's your private life, but financially it was a big increase for you to go to Loogootee. Just money isn't the end-all, be-all, but how important is it in life to, what Loogootee offered you for that, especially for a 1A school?
Yeah, well, at the end of the day, I think you have to do what's best for your family. And financially, it was a lucrative opportunity for us. And I already kind of mentioned the aspect of taking care of your family with health insurance. That's a big deal for everybody and in any profession these days. But at the end of the day, it really was more about what fit right for us. And, like you said, money is not the end all be all. And when we were weighing the decision of whether we're going to stay, whether we're going to go, it just was one of those deals where the move, especially professionally for what I want to do and being an AD, and then the potential to move up one of these days into building or corporation administration eventually, those opportunities may be there at Loogootee, and that was just something that we just felt like at this time we couldn't pass up.
I want to remind everybody, Beyond the Stands can be followed on Spotify, CastBox, Pocket Cast, iHeartRadio, and always on WTWO's MyWabashValley.com. Okay, let's talk some basketball. Let's look back at your time at Barr-Reeve. 7 years, 151 and 36 in 7 years. 4 sectionals, 3 regionals, 2 semi-states, 2 state finals. In 2021, the Vikings were state champs. You hear all that. Yeah. Just how fun was it to be Barr-Reeve's head coach?
It was a heck of a ride, Rick. It was, everything that you would imagine that it would be cracked up to be. The other thing I'm going to throw in there on this, and again, all this stuff that we've accomplished here over the last 7 years is way bigger than Josh Thompson. Barr-Reeve basketball was an incredible program before I got here. I was just blessed to be gifted with the opportunity to be the leader of the program for 7 years. And Barr-Reeve basketball will continue to be great after I'm gone. But the thing that I'll take away most from my 7 years here is just a relationship with the kids. And it's really been great here, Rick, the last, 5 or 6 days of having former players, former assistant coaches at places that I've been in the past reach out to me. But really the players that have been under my guidance here at Barr-Reeve reaching out to me. And they're like, Coach, we hate to see you go, but we understand professionally this is something that may have been too good to pass up. So that's been really good. And those are the things that I'm going to miss most here about Barr-Reeve. But again, you were starting to list all those accolades. I still tell people this all the time. We missed out on another one in 2020 because that team was rolling when COVID shut the season down. So that's another one. And I don't take credit for that, but I tell our guys all the time on that 2020 team, I said, you guys were state champs.
I agree with that 100%, and you proved it the next year. So it would have been back-to-back state titles. So one thing I found interesting, follow a lot of people on Facebook, they follow me. Logan Graber put about you when you announced that you're leaving. He truly cares about the kids, and that's the biggest compliment you can give a coach. You coached his son, Bryson Graber, when he left. He was the IHSAA all-time assist leader. When you hear that, and I agree, you do care about the kids. What does that mean to you when you hear that?
Well, really, for me, that's why you do what you do. Whether you're a teacher, whether you're a coach, whether you're an administrator, you're in this business about the kids. And I've loved every kid that I've coached. You talked about Logan's post. I also coached his youngest son, Caden. And those boys mean the world to me. And, they know that I would do anything for them. And we reach out and we razz each other about different things at different times. But, Logan's post really meant a lot to me because I also think that shows not only Logan's class, but the class of a lot of people here in the Barr-Reeve community. I think a lot of people from the outside looking at this would say, man, there's got to be a lot of animosity from people at Barr-Reeve toward Coach Thompson and his family for making this decision. And that's not been the case at all. And we didn't expect that. I mean, there are so many classy people, classy individuals, and, even my current team, and I know we'll talk about this. I know those guys were upset. I know they were sad about it. But at the same time, they understand, and they're a very mature group, and they're going to get a great coach coming in, and they're going to be great no matter what. And like you said, it's been a blessing across the board how everyone from our administration, our superintendent, Andrea Huff, Jeff Doyle, our principal, Aaron Ash, our AD, and then the rest of the community, how they've handled this whole deal.
You speak of just how passionate, how great people have been, but there is nothing like basketball in the Wabash Valley in the southern part of it, from Loogootee to Barr-Reeve to Washington to Vincennes. So Barr-Reeve Loogootee was already a rivalry. You do realize that this certainly spices up the rivalry. You do know you've taken it to another level, right?
It does, but this is the thing that I've always told people about coaching at a lot of the places I've been. Vincennes Lincoln, people were so passionate about Vincennes Lincoln basketball, and they have every right to be because it's an unbelievably storied program. Same thing with Barr-Reeve, the same thing with Loogootee. And I've had people ask me before, they're like, hey, why do you want to coach in places like that where it's volatile, people expect you to win each and every night? And I'm like, listen, I got in this business to build character and instill values in young men and do it the right way. But at the end of the day, you're a competitor and you want to win. And why would you not want to coach in a program like that? And obviously going from Barr-Reeve to Loogootee, there's high expectations. The community there is hungry. I think not only to get the winning tradition back to where it was, and they've had some good teams over the last 10 to 15 years. Ryan Haywood had some really good teams. I think Coach Smith's done a good job with the kids the last couple of years. They won 16 games 2 years ago, 13 last year. But I think people are really, really hungry over there for stability. And that's one of the things that we hope to provide. And that's another reason why I was really happy that they, really put out the long-term contract for us to be there. And I think they're sending the message that it's time to have some stability in that program.
I can tell you, being part of the media for as long as I have, you won't like this, but the first Barr-Reeve Loogootee game will be about you. I mean, that's just the Josh Thompson, first game.
Yeah.
You'll be center stage on that, right?
Oh, absolutely. And this is one of the things I talked about yesterday with Brian Emmons on his show, Fair Shake. I've never minced words about the rivalry games, whether that's Barr-Reeve Loogootee or the Buggy Bowl, Barr-Reeve North Davies, the Thanksgiving game, Barr-Reeve Washington. Those are huge games, and they're very important to people, and that's what makes it so fun to be a part of. And I realize, like you said, that as much as I'll try to make it about the players, and that's what it should really be about, it will be a lot about me. But we'll get through it, and we'll move on into January and into February, and we'll be trying to play our best basketball, just like Barr-Reeve will be trying to play their best basketball going into the sectional in March.
Already in coach speak for the season. I like that there. So you talked to Barr-Reeve team, told them you were leaving. I know you met with the Loogootee team for the first time officially shortly after that. What did you tell the Barr-Reeve team or the Loogootee team, excuse me, and how did they take that?
Well, the one thing that I told the kids at Loogootee yesterday that I wanted to see a big change in, opposed from the last couple of years, is I just really want to see them playing with a lot of energy and a lot of passion. And that's not to blame anybody. It is the fact of the matter. And I feel like maybe they've lost a little bit of an edge, and we want to get that back. But at the same time, we want to have a lot of respect for the tradition that's been established there. You go all the way back into the days of Coach Butcher. He was the all-time winningest coach in the state of Indiana. And like I told the kids, it's a big responsibility whenever you wear that on your chest, just like it's a big responsibility to kids here at Barr-Reeve when they wear that on their chest, or at Vincennes, the kids I coach there. And you want that. You want the community to be proud of the product that's put on the floor. And, I told them, I said, that's what you're signing up for, and we need to make sure that we give that back.
Again, I want to thank our sponsors of the show, Crow Equipment Incorporated and Andrews Heating and Air Conditioning. So you just mentioned one of the things I was going to ask you about. Loogootee does, for a 1A, have a storied basketball program. They've had some okay years, but it hasn't been up to Loogootee standards, which is one of the reasons that they went after you and wanted you there. What would it mean to you? I don't want to say put Loogootee basketball back on the map, but make them relevant to where their standard is down there. What would that mean to you?
Well, that's the goal, and that's the goal of our family, and that's the goal of the board and administration at Loogootee, is they want to get that back. And like you said, there's been some really good years that they've had. They won a state championship in 2012. Coach Haywood here a couple years ago with the team that had Peyton Bledsoe on it, was on the doorsteps of getting back to Gamebridge and potentially winning a state championship, and fell just a little bit short to the eventual state champions. But that's the goal. I was over there last night, Rick, working on some things, and I walked out into the gym, and it's just a great feeling to be there and to have the opportunity to get that back. And that's the big goal that everybody that's involved in this situation has.
Now, for people that don't know, you could be tremendous. Barr-Reeve's been tremendous. North Davies been tremendous. So often or not, Orleans proved that you could have one of the best teams in the state and not get a sectional because how tough your sectional is. I mean, it is just unreal, that 1A sectional, how often whoever wins that goes to state and often wins state. I mean, just talk about, for people who don't understand, how tough that 1A sectional is with Barr-Reeve, Loogootee, North Davies. Orleans is in it now. It is an incredible sectional.
Oh, it's outstanding. I mean, you look at the tradition that, Brent Dalrymple has established at North Davies. I don't want to say that North Davies was irrelevant before Brent got there, because they had some great teams. I remember playing against some really good teams in the 90s that North Davies had before class sports. But Brent's done an outstanding job there of making them a state power, a team that is relevant each and every year in our sectional. Obviously, the program that has been established here at Barr-Reeve, and you throw in the fact, like you mentioned, Coach Bradley has an outstanding program at Orleans, and they were able to navigate through the sectional this year. And then, things fell into place for them, and they ended up winning a state championship. What most people on the outside don't know about Orleans this year is they were a great team, and they deserved to win a state championship, and I'm very happy for Tom. but I can personally tell you that I have coached against probably 7 or 8 Orleans teams that were better talent-wise and athletically than this team that Tom had this year. So that just goes to show you how difficult our sectional is and kind of navigating through this corner of the state in the state tournament. Coach Beasy at Vincent Gervais, he's really worked his tail off there. And they've got some good young players to mix in with the guys that he's coming back. And Vincent Gervais is going to be a very good team this coming year. So like you said, it is truly – there's no doubt that it's the best 1A sectional in the state. I've got gotten to know Scott McClellan at Noblesville, and he and I are pretty close. We talk about that sectional and what a bear that 4A sectional is. For 1A basketball, our sectional is the same as that sectional with Noblesville, Fishers, Westfield. When Zionsville is maybe the weakest sister in the bunch, it's pretty tough.
I think you're very accurate with that. So I got to ask you, we talked about several reasons for you moving on, and you mentioned your son, Griffin. He's a fifth grader. He's a super talented young man. I've heard a lot about him. Look forward to covering him in the years to come. So he obviously weighed into your decision. Just how excited are you the years to come to be able to coach him? I've heard a lot about him, obviously, as his mother's talent. How much is he looking forward to playing for the Lions and playing for his dad?
Well, he's really looking forward to that. And, he gives me a hard time a lot. And but this morning we got out of the truck and we came into school, and we talked about how the meeting went yesterday with the team at Loogootee, and he was very interested in that. And then I told him, I said, it went really well, and there's a couple kids that are thinking about coming back out. And he said, Dad, he said that those kids really are excited about you. They want to play for you. And that meant a lot coming from him, because typically he gives me the business. You mentioned the fact that he got his playing ability from his mom. There's no doubt about that. She actually at one time was all-time leading three-point shooter at Loogootee. Her record's been broken. Over there, her uncle Brian Canada was the all-time leading scorer at Loogootee, and then that record was broken by Peyton Bledsoe a few years ago. So I tell everybody, he got my dad's athletic genes, but he got his basketball ability from his mom. But he's very excited about going over there. He knows a lot of the kids over there, with it being 7 miles apart. Kyle Wade, who's also a fifth grader over there. He and Griffin play AAU basketball together, so that is going to make the transition to go very easy. And then my wife has so many cousins that have kids in the program over there too, so it's almost like a family reunion. It's almost like what summer basketball camp this year is going to be about, like our Easter dinner.
But that kind of sums up the southern part of the Wabash Valley. Everybody is related, as I say. You speak of your wife. I love this. We follow each other on social media, this kind of stuff. I love talking to you, but if you had the choice, you wouldn't want to be in the limelight and the media, that kind of stuff. You just want to do your job. She's big on social media. So how does that work between you two and life?
Well, here's the funny part about that. She does have a significant social media presence with the things that she does through her health and fitness business that she does on the side, outside of teaching. But my wife is a big introvert. Like, Rick, this is no joke. I told her, I said, what do you want to do Friday? I said, this has been a crazy 2.5, 3 weeks. I said, you want to go out to eat? Maybe go down to Jasper, grab something, go to a movie. And she said, no. She said, I just want to come home and sit on the couch and watch a movie on Friday night. And so, that's what we're going to do. But yeah. And again, it's not one of those things where what she puts out there on social media is not her. She is very outgoing, but it is kind of funny that when she has an opportunity to be away, to have downtime, she just wants to be there at home and sit on the couch and watch movies. But I'm excited for her. I'm excited for her to go into that role as a PE teacher over there at Loogootee. There may be the potential that she gets back into coaching at some point in time. Another component of this, my daughter, she's an esthetician, and she works with my sister-in-law in Loogootee. So my daughter's business is over there as well. There were so many family connections to Loogootee that it just made everything that was going on just seem right. And Rick, you talked about the financial aspects, and I talked about the professional aspects of moving into the AD's role and maybe possibly some other things down the road. But all that aside, and as much as we wanted to stay here at Barr-Reeve and we loved being here at Barr-Reeve, the move just felt right.
And it does. I mean, you've explained everything, so people, I mean, you're honest, so people can hear exactly why you did it, and they can make their own judgment on it, but you've been honest about why you did it. I'll be honest with you. I'm excited you're staying. You've been great to me over the years. I'm excited I still get to cover you as a coach, to cover you with the Lions. So I'm happy that you're staying in the Wabash Valley, Coach.
Well, we're excited about it, and we're excited about your coverage, and I'm so glad that you're back in the business because someone reached out to me last week, and they talked a little bit about the situation at Loogootee, and they said the Lions got better today for a lot of different reasons, and that meant a lot to me that person said that, because it was someone that was actually from Barr-Reeve that's a very dear friend of mine. But kids in the Wabash Valley are better because of your coverage, Rick, and I appreciate everything you guys do.
Well, that means a lot coming from you, Coach. I appreciate it, and then I appreciate your friendship as well. So, best of luck going forward. You got a few months to prepare before the Josh Thompson game, Barr-Reeve and Loogootee. So, best of luck, Coach.
All right, thanks a lot, Rick.
That's new Loogootee boys basketball coach Josh Thompson joining me on Beyond the Stands. Again, today was the 50th episode of Beyond the Stands. Remember, you can always follow it on mywabashvalley.com. That does it for this edition of Beyond the Stands.